Just a couple miles up the road over there, that's Lahaina Beach. Less than a month ago, an outrageous fire broke out, killing hundreds, if not thousands, with thousands more missing. We're here to examine why things went so wrong. Why did the emergency sirens not get sounded? Why did they run out of water? Why were the police blocking people in so they couldn't escape from the deadly flames? And more importantly, we're trying to understand why now today. Why is the governor saying that Maui is closed when the whole island is dependent on tourism? Why are FEMA and Red Cross dragging their feet? And then finally, we're also here to understand what we can do to help these people stay in Lahaina. Some people said it's almost like a orchestrated gentrification, that they're not wanted here anymore, that they're not getting the necessary means to stay and fight and live where they've lived for so long. These people in Lahaina are the simple people. They don't want a 15-minute city. So we need to understand what we need to do as citizens here in America to help these people today. I'm Craig Pastor Jardula. Let's go find out.
It's almost as if it's like a bomb was dropped. We can't go into the area. You can see down below over there, we got the National Guard or whoever they are, military to your left. They're not allowing anybody in unless you have a house that's standing. Even the people who lost their houses, they told us yesterday, they're not allowed to go into the zone. So they can't have any closure whatsoever. A few things that people reported on right away is that, number one, they feel that number of 150 people dead is a slap in the face. Thousands are missing. And when they say missing, they just haven't been identified yet. More than likely, their fate was sealed in one of those big fires ripping through this area.
This area right over here, Jonathan, is where it started?
Yeah, a little bit more up
This way.
from what I know.
Over here.
Yeah.
But down over here now, that's Front Street, right?
Yeah, way down there, this camp right here is called Paunau. Okay? And then Front Street is beyond there.
Okay.
Okay? The first fire was at roughly around 6:30. So my tenant works at one of the schools up here. Okay, he's one of the guys that take care of the school. He came down and he told me that, you know, he's seen the fire. I was up since 4 o'clock in the morning, but he's seen what went happen. From what we understand, they said that fire was 100% contained.
From what I hear from all my neighbors, they didn't hear sirens. I guess the guy who's in charge of the sounding off the hurricane alert didn't sound it because it's not a hurricane.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking, well, you know, if you sounded it off, I'm thinking people would come out and say what's happening.
What the government's done is basically stated they recognize these certain people are dead and identified the bodies and the 150. But, you know, supposedly like 800 people are missing, right? Kind of common sense, well, where are the 800? Maybe some of them didn't report back in and stuff, but probably some of them are the dead that's missing. I'm sure they have a count in the morgue, right? How many bodies are there or how many people, or they've taken the tally. From what I understand, from what I heard was the National Guard went in, they tallied, they were marking the graves where people were, and basically, not graves, but where their bodies were actually burnt and things like that. They were tagging them that way, how the military does. And they must have a count, right? That count hasn't been released.
All of this starts at the top, starts at the county level, starts at the state level.
Yeah.
You know, the guy that resigned for not blowing the siren.
Yeah, the emergency management dude,
He shouldn't be able to resign.
Yeah.
He should be indicted. That's the most stupidest answer I ever heard. Oh, the siren is only for tsunami. No, it ain't.
Doesn't say that on the website.
Yep. Does it say that on the website?
It says wildfires on the website.
It's basically everything that causes destruction.
Yeah.
From what we know.
Yeah.
On there, you know. And I'm not even the guy that presses that button.
Yeah.
So, you know, for you to say that, you don't belong in that position, you know, or you just covering up something, or you're just plain stupid. On there, you know. But for him to say that he never do it, blow the siren, all these people died here. For me, he should be indicted too.
Yeah. I've heard so many people say that the policemen failed on that day. Like the firemen, they didn't have water half the time.
Yep. And that was DLNR's fault from what?
Yeah.
From what I know. The police chief he just coming up with his own shit, man.
Yeah.
That's just it on top there. I don't know where he was or what he was doing, but seems like he was a person that was on island, and since he's the police chief, this is a big catastrophe going on.
Yeah.
He would be in charge.
Yeah.
You know? And basically for me is he should be held accountable for all the people dying.
Yeah.
He's one of those people, you know?
Yeah.
Like I said, we're not asking for you resign. We're asking for indictments. You know?
Responsibility.
We keep abreast with what's going on in the world, and I saw it that the governor had spoken to, is it United Nations, that they're thinking Maui is gonna be their first smart city or something like that. So
that's what you guys are hearing, huh?
yeah.
Well, when I think back about everything that has happened over here, and there's like different scenarios going on, like why didn't the police like let people out, and people are actually literally got burned in their cars. That's all fact now. People know that.
That is fact.
Yeah, like how many people have called me and they said like they had friends that were, I don't have people myself that were burnt in the cars, but other people have called me saying my relative such and such, or a good friend of mine, their parents were burnt in the car, you know, different things like that.
You said before that like it's almost insulting that they're saying 150 people, 140 people. You said thousands, right? Like you believe. I mean that's what we believe. The list was, the missing counts person list was 1,200 on there. But that's 1,200 of what? Local people? How much tourists had in this thing? Yeah.
That went down there, that is accounted for. Or how much more other people that is not on that list, you know, that don't have relatives that can vouch for them.
Vouch for them, yeah.
You know? So, the downplay on it is horrible. It's just all lies. And these politicians been lying since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
You know? And basically, the people are tired of it. The people are tired of you politicians trying to run us. We don't work for you. you work for us on here, you know. And now, you guys, no matter what you guys do some kind of criminal stuff, you guys are always getting away with it. Not this time. You guys gonna be held accountable. And this starts all the way from the top, you know. The governor get the nerve to say he wants to buy all these private lands.
Most of us, we want this to stay the way that it was. It was never, this town was never made new, because that's the beauty of Lahaina, is to see the old, mostly old, and just a little bit of new. You know, we like to live the simple, old-fashioned way. Yeah. We know each other. It's like, oh, I saw fish being sold on the street. You know, if you didn't know, go down, or, you know, So that it's just because of how the world is going right now. It just seems like there might be some truth to what we're hearing. And we will, of course, keep fighting, keep on keeping on. But usually, eventually, hopefully this is not our case, the big dogs will always come in. So
they want people to be accountable for the actions that happened here. And you could talk about what happened all day to start this fire. Go ahead, whatever you think. At the end of the day, we do know this for sure. The response, the emergency response, has been crap.
We're gonna go see this activist. He's a lawyer. He's been working with a lot of the people who've been involved with the whole emergency response and everything leading up to what's going on. And he has some big questions. Park, where do we park the car?
Oh, where do you park? Come on down the driveway.
Like, I took this photograph and there was no fuel around it. It was just a car sitting in the middle of a driveway that was fried, and then everything else around it was perfectly fine. So it's these type of anomalies that we just have to take a look at very carefully. Bark is in perfect shape, but then when you look at the base, it's burnt out from the inside, and the core of the tree, the center of the tree is all burnt, and we have a lot of different photographs of those also. So we're gathering this type of data right now at this point in time, so that we can then look at doing a further analysis. We're not coming to conclusions right now, because it's still too early, but we're still gathering data, and it doesn't make sense. The anomalies don't make sense in terms of a conventional fire. So this is part of why we're having a community investigation. We have over 20 people right now doing research on all 43 different aspects of the fire. So there's a lot to do research on that we're still digging. But this is some of our preliminary stuff that we've been looking at here. So you can see that, and I can go through these anomalies. And again, they're very significant in terms of how this could have possibly happened. And there's a lot of similarities also to other fires that have occurred.
Isn't it a possibility that the fact is that a lot of water has been diverted away from some of the farmers into like a lot of the golf courses we heard over here, and some of the fancier people who have a few dollars, they have access to water where the poor, indigenous, and the local people don't have water? Isn't this just a case of the fact that maybe that water's been diverted for so long that Lahaina was almost like a brush fire friendly kind of environment, from what we heard from the weeds and the grass, that it just caught on like a brush fire?
Well, there are 7 different causes that are being promoted at this point in time, and I think we have
by who?
By the media, by the public,
government, and
by the government.
Yeah.
There are 7 that we're looking at right now at this point.
Do you know what they are?
Yes.
Okay.
And we can go through with that. I can show
Let's do that. I got slides.
But before we do that, I think it'd be good to look at the anomalies. Because then when
you want to look at the anomalies first?
Yeah, let's look at the, because when we look at anomalies, then we can say, okay, does this type of fire, a brush fire, as you just mentioned, does that cover these anomalies?
Okay.
So let's look at the anomalies and let's look at what cause does fit the situation.
Okay. What's anomaly number 1?
Okay, well, I would say that the speed of which the fire was
Okay.
happened and the scope of the fire in a very short time. Yes, there were high winds that would really cause that spread.
Yes.
But there are questions in terms of the explosiveness of the fire itself.
The fire got to our house very, very quickly. When we first saw the fire about two and a half blocks away, and it was on us, you know, literally in minutes. It just kept gobbling houses, and it was just an angry fire, man. It was just.
How many kids were with you that day?
Well, we have 5 kids, and so at the time, one of our kids was at home with us. We were waiting for 2 more kids to arrive, but there was no cell phone communication at that time from Lahaina to Lahaina. What was very odd is we could call the mainland, and the mainland could call us, but we could not call each other. That's another very strange thing. So I'm going to tell you what happened. The fire got to our house. We evacuated with everybody. And I'm going to tell you about how I found my kids. So we evacuated to a home about 2 blocks away. By the time we got there, the fire was there. So we evacuated that house. We went about 1.5 miles away to another home. And we were there for about half hour, and I needed to find 2 of my kids, right? And we couldn't call them, but I knew I could call California. And there was other people who also knew that, because when I got there, I said, I need to find my kids. And they said, hey, I can call the mainland, so you might be able to call the mainland. I said, this sounds weird, but yeah, and I did. I called the grandparents in California, and I said, hey, I can't seem to call my kids, but if you can call them, let them know we're at the beach house. That's how we refer to this house we were at. And while I was on the phone with Grandma and Grandpa, my kids call. So they can call California too. That's the thing. We couldn't call one another though.
But you call California, and
yeah,
that's crazy.
They're all gone. All my photos of the fire
Where they
and
at?
everything, they're gone.
What happened?
I don't know. You would not believe. Look, here's all the stuff we're doing. Look, here's everything we're doing. Me and 5, 6 other guys started all this.
Yeah.
Over in Hanakauai Park.
Yeah.
Okay? We started this whole thing. And Kapono, which is an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He is the number 1.
Yeah.
Okay? He's number 1. The rest of us are number 2s. We all fall in line. Everything comes together.
Yeah.
And look at all my photos up until the fire.
Gone.
Look at that. Gone.
I've had something like that happen to me before.
That's weird.
January 6th.
Oh my
They're all
God.
gone. They're all
They're
gone.
all gone.
They're all gone. What kind of training did you guys do in California that wasn't done over here?
Well, okay, I don't know if the training was done here or not. I'm just saying there wasn't anything done that would
day.
lead me to believe that there was a training. So
Yeah.
when we did evacuations, we went street to street, house to house, and we forced everyone to leave their home. It wasn't an option like, oh, you want to stay? Okay, cool. No. It was like, hey, you gotta go. Like, there's no staying here. I'm very sorry. And people would plead with us, no, but it's my house. Oh my gosh, it's my beautiful house. Like, I'm sorry, I can't let you stay.
Yeah.
You gotta go.
You guys would split up territory as the police officers. You go there, you go there.
Hey, you take A Street and take all the houses from Avenue B to Avenue whatever D, and you did there. Cool. Then hey, you take this street and you go from this street to this street. Cool. And everyone communicates, and everyone is you take care of all the streets systematically, so you don't leave anyone in their home. And that, I didn't see any of that happen. And
Anybody going around with a megaphone?
I didn't see
nothing?
anyone with a mic. No, please evacuate. There's a fire. Please evacuate. There should have been something done. Someone should have picked up their PA system and just put out the word, hey guys, there's a fire. Please evacuate. You must leave. Because the fire was moving fast. So I would have understood if someone just got on their PA and did it and did not do the door-to-door.
Yeah.
But there should have been an effort made, man.
I got a voice that came to me and said, go to Hawaii. And that's what I did. I sold everything I own in California.
Yeah.
And I mean everything. I sold, 35 years of living there, and never been here to Hawaii. And didn't know anything. I didn't know even what Hawaii was. I thought Hawaii was one big island, And then I Google it and I find out there's a whole bunch of islands.
Yeah.
And the other thing I didn't know about was aloha. I had no idea what aloha was. I never heard the word.
What is aloha?
Oh man, for me, aloha is sharing, being part you know, and giving and loving and being good. It's part of the Hawaiian circle of life. The Hawaiian circle of life, as I see it, is stay pono life,
Yeah.
right? Feed the mana, you know, and then the mana just gives out all the aloha to the aina.
Yeah.
And I'm part of the aina, and that's what you have to do to get that aina. You have to work for it,
Yeah.
and you can't just buy it. It's not something you can buy. It's something you got to work for,
Yeah.
and you got to respect that way, you know. And that's what I do. I respect it so much. So I'm part of the aina, and I'm part of that whole system. And it makes my life so easy. Stay pono, get the aloha,
Yeah.
and feed the aina, and then you gotta maintenance it.
Yeah.
You can't just keep it, you gotta maintenance it. You gotta get out there and work, you know. You gotta clean the highway, you gotta learn the language, you gotta learn the way of Hawaiians, you know.
Yeah.
Hawaiians, they're the most beautiful people on the face of the earth.
Yeah.
They are so kind, so loving, and they are just amazing. And
Yeah.
I gravitate to that.
All right.
Because that's my soul, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I had a sister tell me once, she said, you know what, brother? She said, you might have been here before.
Explain to me what happened that day.
The winds were howling. They were 60 miles an hour. They were gusts of 80, 90, maybe even more. I came out of my house and I walked down the prison street, and I said to myself, this isn't safe, but I still walked all the way to the harbor.
Okay.
I got to the harbor. This is about an hour before the fire.
About 2 o'clock?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm walking, I thought, you know what, I better get home. The power's out already.
Okay.
Okay, so
Did you hear about a fire, or you just think the power was out?
I just knew the power was out because that's why I left. I said, hey, the power's out. I'm going to go and see what's going on. And I walked down to the harbor. The wind was howling. So then I said, I better get back. So I get back. Fire starts. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know, get everybody out of the apartments. Get everybody out of, you know, tell people. When I leave there, I'm pulling out in my truck, in my car, and I'm leaving there, and I'm going through town. I saw Alfie.
Yeah.
I saw Alfie, you know, with this thing telling everybody, hey,
Yeah.
you know, I made it to the outlet stores.
Okay.
And right there's a parking structure, a
Yeah.
big concrete parking structure, and I ducked in there. And that's where I stayed for 3.5 hours. I stayed underneath there. Everybody was underneath there. Fire department came and took us out. I didn't go out. I stayed in my truck and I went down Waianae and I made it past the Front Street apartments. They were blazing. I got over to Front Street, and I got over the bridge, right where Safeway and all the things, and I darted into the old Lahaina Luau parking lot.
Okay.
Because in my mind, there's a waterway.
Yeah.
Okay, and then their little hut right there on the side, I backed right up to it. That way, if anything came, I could jump over that and get right in the water.
Gotcha.
I'd be right in the concrete water. But and then I stayed there all night. I pretty much couldn't go anywhere because everything on the other side started to catch on fire.
You saw it.
I was like standing there going, "Oh my God, I might have trapped myself."
Did you take pictures and everything? And
That's another thing. I'll tell you about what happened. But anyway, what happens is that I felt good.
Yeah.
I felt safe. I didn't feel,
okay.
any I was in dire straits. I was just like sitting there in disbelief.
Yeah.
I was in disbelief of everything. I saw how it all went up.
Yeah.
And I know those guys that were in those cars, and I know what happened there. I know those guys were trapped by that cop.
Yeah.
And I know the homeless guy that weaves the baskets.
Yeah.
And he's the one yelling at the cop, "Why are you doing that?"
Yeah.
I'm on the other side of the street when he's yelling that.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there going, "This is not right."
And they were trapping people in.
It was trapped.
What do you think it was? Do you think they were just flat-footed? Were they taking
No.
orders, or
No.
scared, or?
It's real simple.
Okay.
Nobody stopped the traffic at Kaanapali. So the traffic going south
Gotcha.
on Honoapiilani Highway was backed up all the way.
Gotcha.
Just backed up. And all the lines fell. So nobody could go anywhere. Okay, there was no way they could go anywhere, and then they weren't allowing them. You know, they weren't allowing them to go through.
Should they have
And
allowed
they
them?
couldn't. They couldn't go nowhere anyways. Yeah, they could have brought them out Front Street all the way to the main road. Could have brought them right up.
Who's responsible?
Well, of course.
Sheriff? The chief, excuse me, you have a chief, right?
Well, you have a chief.
And I heard he was on island.
It's real simple. When we were laying in bed and our phones went off, there is a ballistic missile heading your way.
I remember
This is not a test.
Yeah.
You know, I was laying in bed.
Yeah.
And I was like looking at my phone. I was like, is this real? This is real.
Yeah.
And the sirens were going off, and we had all this on our phones.
Yeah.
You know? But in this, we had nothing. Not a thing.
Yeah.
Not one thing. Not a sign. Not a telephone. Not a siren.
No siren.
And
It
they
seems like
made that decision.
it seems like
Those people in charge made the decision.
I feel like it's like we're in a horrific movie.
do you think that number is accurate when they say 150 people dead, or do you think it's much more than that?
Well, that 150 people dead is very accurate, but they haven't. Everybody missing right now, I would say 99% of them gone. They just, because I was in the back at Front Street, and it's devastating. It's just all ashes. So
Yeah.
they're having trouble identifying people. You know, the dogs coming in and everything else. It's just so hard. So
Yeah.
they're still missing. God bless them. I think they're up in heaven, and you know, God's taking them. They're not coming back. You know, it's just. So I think it's going to be like. I don't even want to say, but it's going to be a lot. There's what, 800 something still missing.
Yeah.
So I would say out of that 800, the majority of them are unfortunately not with us anymore.
We realized that some of the stories that we were hearing were not accurate. And our building was in fact still standing, and it's one of the only ones standing on Front Street, but it's obviously not habitable. And then there was some guilt there, you know, because we have so many friends that have lost their homes that it was almost like a guilty feeling to be able to say, oh, our building is still standing. But fast forward, then coming to find out that my elderly neighbor and his wife has Alzheimer's were still in the building, the guilt, you know, kind of shifted to gratitude and
You know, we've heard from people that they didn't let them out in certain areas. What was it like for you on that day when you were getting out? Did you get warnings? I even heard somebody say that they said they had put the fire out completely by like 10 o'clock, and so people went on with their day, leaving their kids at home because they thought the fire was out. What did you experience that day?
my understanding is that too, that because the electricity was out, that teachers were sending students home. And so that's, and I don't know, I've heard conflicting stories, I don't know how true it is, but that parents weren't notified that we're at work, and so a lot of kids were at home during this, by themselves during the fire.
When there's talk of 15-minute cities with the QR codes and the AI and all that stuff coming in here, do you guys put any stock behind that theory that they want to turn Lahaina and Maui into one of those towns and kind of get rid of the old, simple, traditional life of the locals and the indigenous people?
Oh, absolutely. He wants to turn it into a smart city and everything else. And God, please, the locals are going to. They do not want that to happen. Well, I don't want it to happen. Everything you saw the first 5, 6, 7, 8 days was all local help. The Molokai were coming on boats, and everybody bringing boats, supplies and everything else. You know, FEMA. I was watching TV, and they were saying, "We got this, we got that." I wanted to throw a rock through the TV because that lady's speaking. Nothing. Nobody saw anything from FEMA or the
Nothing.
Nothing the first few days like that.
And I heard you guys have been doing something special. I saw you got a pizza over here.
Look at this, huh? we're passing these babies out free to anybody that comes in here.
Free?
free.
Why?
Because we're asking for donations to help the people that have lost their homes in the fire. And so we're just turning around and giving it right back to the people that need help.
Yeah. You're giving out these beautiful pizzas here, and this is awesome. And you've been pretty, I think, fair in your statement and whatnot. Question. Even though you think people were doing a good job, you're a businessman. You understand if the guy who's making the pizza dough isn't making it right, you got to get rid of him. If he's not showing up on time or slicing your cheese or your pepperoni properly, you got to get rid of him. Who do you think right now really needs to lose their job?
You got a loaded question here.
Well, I mean, you're a fair guy. You think they're doing the right job.
Like
But ignorance or,
I think it's way above.
Okay.
From the mayor on up. Like I said, the police department, the local guys that I know, they're doing great jobs. They're doing the best they can. They're only following orders.
Following orders.
Okay. Where those orders came from? Did it come from the mayor? I don't know. Did they come from the police chief? I don't know. Did it come from the governor? I don't know where they came from. But I know that they were ill prepared for something like this to happen.
When you're following police orders or direction, you're trusting the process, no matter who you are or where you are, right? I mean, typically, if a police officer or a fireman is directing you a certain way, you're going to trust that they know what they're doing and they're leading you the right way.
Yeah.
So
I will say this: I don't want to be an armchair quarterback.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mistakes made. That I firmly believe that everybody was doing the best they can to save people and stuff like that. Mistakes were made, but they were doing the best they can. They were not running away from the fire. They were running into the fire, trying to help people.
Yes.
So I think it was just not. It was. They weren't ready for a catastrophe like this.
Yeah.
Ill prepared.
Yeah.
And a lot of those guys lost their homes as well. So I mean,
Policemen.
the police and a lot of firemen, and so it's like they didn't want to lose their homes. They didn't want people to die in this fire, and I just feel like they are getting a finger pointed at them directly.
Yeah.
And getting, and I feel like the direction of the finger is going the wrong way.
Right.
Closing down all of Maui was pretty stupid. You got the whole other side of the island, which is fine, which is Wailea, Han, and all that stuff. If you want to come to Maui, please go to that side until we heal our wounds here in Lahaina.
Yeah.
But you go on the other side, open. My business in Kaului, I'm down 50%. Why? Because all the tourists left.
Yeah.
Everybody sent everybody home. But come to Maui, enjoy the beauty on the other side of the island until we heal our wounds here in Lahaina.
We came here to support the people of Maui because their economy is based on tourism, a lot of it, right? And even though when we came, we had people from another island tell us not to come, that we're not being respectful, but everybody we talked to would say, hey, thank you for coming. Yeah. Come spend your dollars here. Our economy needs it, even though it's so tragic and heartbreaking. Yeah. And it's very emotional to think about what happened to the people with the fire and those families. They need people to come and spend their dollars at the small businesses. And my heart is to help the small businesses and wherever I go.
We love Maui.
You love Maui? First time here?
No, second time.
Is that why you guys decided to get married?
なんで決めたの? なんで決めた?
No, she's so cute.
Yeah, she's beautiful and stuff like that. Well, congratulations and stuff. Did you hear about the fires in Lahaina? Did you hear anything about it?
Yeah.
You did?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't make you change your plans, though? It still feels like Maui's on vacation, huh?
Yeah.
So I'm here in Hana. This is the other part of the island on the opposite side of Lahaina. Some of the locals like to climb up trees and sell coconuts. My good friend says on an average Friday or Saturday, they'd sell about 100 coconuts. But since the Lahaina Fires and Governor Green's shutdown of the island, he's selling less than a dozen a day. Let's go take a look at what he does.
Do me a favor. Pasta?
Yeah.
Just going to the truck.
Please go to the truck.
Holy shit, they're heavy.
Wow. These nuts. 7 coconuts kicked my ass.
Man, there's nothing like being up in those trees. You know, it's just all, they talk about a labor of love. It truly is a labor of love for me. I love being in the trees. I love that commingling with the Ainu, with Mother Nature. You know, the whole colonization process brings with it the worst of big ag. We got, you know, spam musubi is like a thing here, which is just complete trash. And there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of junk food people are eating on island because the colonists, you know, they brought it here and they really heavily marketed this junk food because, you know, that's what they do. They market the junk food, the alcohol, the drugs to be able to control, manipulate, and misdirect the population.
It was the sugarcane thing where half the island was like sugarcane import, yeah, or like exporting sugarcane. I want to get.
Eccoci qua.
Is that Brazilian?
Ti va un coco. Questo ti fa stare bene. Pasta mio.
That's Italian there, baby.
Calcio storico. Yeah, but they didn't let me play. They recruited me, but anyway, long story.
Isn't that what the Romans used to play?
Yeah. Well, not the Romans, the Florentine.
Wow.
Oh, you caught me. First time I've ever fucked up a coconut.
Look at that. Holy shit. Man, you want a body at 69? How old are you? 72?
Fuck, you could be like 37 right now, bro.
104.
104.
All right, so I'm going off of your plate. To show you, this is Hawaii style, right there. Take a look at that.
It's different. I've never had a
Holy shnikes. This is the pepper right here. What's it called again?
Moruga.
There it is.
Oh, you. Oh. I think he was opening his mouth and putting the pepper in his mouth.
Oh. I'm gonna eat another coconut.
Yeah. Those are the hottest peppers you'll ever eat, girl.
Should I take it with a napkin in my hand?
Sure. Yeah.
Grab a piece of tin foil. How has the business been since the Lahaina Fires a couple weeks ago, less than a month ago, just about?
We just opened yesterday for the first time since the day after the fire. We've been beyond slow to the point of most of us didn't even know what to do.
Wait a second, you're 2 hours away. We're in Hana. We're about 2 hours and 20 minutes away from the fires. Why is it affecting your business over here?
Most of what happened, I believe, is that after the fires, most of social media exploded saying that the island was shut down. And they implored people not to come here. So essentially, our entire economy in Hana is completely dependent on tourists.
Yeah.
When everything shut down and they told everybody to go away,
yeah,
we were done. Everybody shut down, everybody lost their jobs.
So you all coming through and showing support really makes a huge difference. Thank you. It's coming straight at you.
I was just in Hana, and they were like, our business has dropped 99%. And they're 2.5 hour drive away. And, you know, I believe that Maui, about 80% of it is dependent on tourism. So tell me what you think when you said that message was distorted.
I just feel like the language that they could have used is like, if you're coming here, don't go to the west side, but the rest of the island is still open and able to accommodate you and is willing to see you and take your money.
I've been concentrating on the fact that I've heard the governor, certain celebrities say that the island is closed. 80% of the money coming in is dependent on tourism. It's wrong to say Maui is closed. Maybe Lahaina is closed and you should stay away from Lahaina, but don't stop coming to the island. Come here, support local businesses, support the locals, get money into their hands, go to Hana, go to other spots. Is that the right message for like what people, because people are going to watch this second, what can I do to help Tina? What
Yeah.
can I do to help Pasta? Get the money directly to them. Is that the best piece of advice? What do you think?
I think so, based on talking with people, and it doesn't help to say stay away right now. And
Yeah.
whether or not tourism should be the driving force out here, it is. And we want
Can't change the
people
system
to-
that
yeah,
fast,
we
right?
want-
We got to deal with the baseball field we're playing on. We can't,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say, please, continue to come out here. Be respectful. I mean, it is an odd situation to be down here, walking behind the resorts and everyone's just smiling and having a good time while people have lost everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what to say about that, but I think people would prefer that we have an economy and jobs, and for people that are able to help, to be able to help, because they've got the money coming in from the tourism and everything. So I think that it's strange that statement was even made to begin with. I think it was the governor that initially
he said
don't
it's
stay away,
closed.
and then he changed
Maui's
his mind.
closed.
And
I was in Hana, and they were affected in Hana. Hana was he's like, no, business like the day after the fire, it's like down 99%.
Yeah.
You go by the airport, there's just fleets of cars out there that usually are on the road and being rented.
I don't know, maybe they do want us to go, I don't think I want to be here anymore. Or maybe something, happens intentionally or unintentionally where we're not here anymore. It's starting to get very sketchy. And I've been pointing a lot of this out as carefully as I could to everybody for the last year. And now that we see what happened here in Lahaina, which I think most people understand is not what they're telling us happened. And, we can go as far as we can with that discussion. I try to be respectful to
The lack of transparency on what happened, how it happened, what's going on now, what's to come it's just being left in the dark. And we're seeing, even though it's been 3.5 weeks or 3 weeks since the fire, I think it is, we're seeing the Band-Aids over the bullet wounds and stuff right now. The conditions were put into place for this place to be almost like a matchbox. And that has a lot to do with water and the history of water. Can you give us a little water for idiots on the island about what has been going on with the diversion to golf courses or the executives and why these other areas are left to be as dry as can be?
Yeah, and I'm still learning more about that. I mean, we've all had an understanding about that all these years. It's always been an issue that, of course, the Native Hawaiians should have access to the water first and foremost. You know, these are their islands, and whether this state wants to acknowledge that or not, we all know that. We're all fortunate to be allowed to be here, but these islands belong to the indigenous peoples, and that's their water. And so if we can't come to some kind of an understanding of how to live with that in mind, and to allow, we wouldn't have a lot of these issues, I think, with the water if the Native Hawaiian community was managing it, because the way that they do things is not in a wasteful way. Again, I'm still learning a lot of this, but we just know, I think we all know in our hearts that things would be different if it was done in a way honoring the lands. The Native Hawaiians had regained an opportunity to get permits for water to their homes. It's my understanding from researching this that they haven't even been able to, bathe their children, and, they're being denied water just to live. The water gets shut off.
Everywhere we see the ruling class, that they control the food, they control you. They control the water, they control you. So it seems like it's the same case over here. And I think it's a great area to concentrate on, because water is life. You control the water, you control the people, you control the island. Poor people, indigenous people, local people, you don't get your water. That goes to our golf courses and our fixtures and the ruling class, and they control you. What happened the day of the fire?
A story came out in major media about how I wish I had been more aware of all of this to begin with, but I'm on it now. But the Native Hawaiians had gotten an opportunity to apply for permits to have priority to get water to their homes, and that happened last year. And the permits were due, the applications, the day before the fire. And that to me was like, whoop, now we're on to something, right?
Wow.
The other thing that was a huge concern was that the governor came out right away and started pushing this narrative that the Native Hawaiians don't want there to be water to fight fires. And it was very, I'm just going to say creepy. I don't like...
When did he say that? And what did he say?
Within like a day or two of the fire, he said, you know, I can't give the exact quote, but along the lines of, you know, there is an issue with, you know, the Native Hawaiians not wanting that water to go to fight the fires, and I'll let you, you know, figure out what that's about, kind of a thing. It was very odd.
It's a miracle we are alive. I'm not pissed at the police or firemen. They did the best they could as people, but they are understaffed, underpaid, under-equipped, and poorly led, trained, and prepared for a real emergency. Also, I have a friend that was working at Puamana and nobody evacuated her. She decided that the smoke was getting really bad, and she was there at the south end of Front Street, was denied access to go south where she would have been safe, was directed by the police to turn around and head back to the death trap in Lahaina. She made it to the south or the north end of Front Street, where she was gridlocked after making it through a maze of gridlock to the end or the north end of Front Street, turned back around towards Puamana. By the time she got back to the other end on the south side of Puamana, the police weren't there. Apparently they wouldn't let anybody through because the power lines were down, but at the same time, there were still vehicles coming from Wailuku from Wailuku towards Lahaina.
Now you put a face with a name. I am the one that sues this group, and I'm holding you accountable. And the reason being, legislation will not bring back the dead nor the harm.
What would we do if something happened tomorrow? Have the powers to be even been talking about it? And I'm not talking about the council members, but more of the concerns about the police department, the fire department, etc.
So please, be kind to one another. Help. No point fingers and say, you should have done, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But help by not creating a fire within our county.
If this council wanted to solve any issues, you'd be listening to all the issues. Because if you want investigations, we need investigations into the water department. We need investigations into the police. Why, when we had 2 qualified sheriffs that were local, did we go hire a sheriff coming out of a scandal out of Las Vegas, placing him in power? Not only that, giving him a 20% raise. What's that about? And my friends are getting chained into the Lahaina Luna, back into the fire, by these police brought from Vegas. I want an investigation into the governor. The governor is in charge of all of this. You silencing people when they're talking about real issues. We have water that's given us leukemia. I am probably already infected with benzene and gonna have leukemia, because from day one, I've been doing runs into Lahaina Luna, into Hawaiian Homes, into Waikuli, covered in the dust. I have nowhere to clean myself off. It's just benzene water cleaning me off. I'm breathing that in all day long, because nobody that was elected to take care of the people is helping.
Look at that. Oh shit. Look at this. Look at this. Holy shit, dude. Look at that. Over here, it jumped a fence. More fences, dude. There comes the fence. These areas, they're blocking up all these areas. They won't let nobody in these areas. You know, FEMA's just dropped the ball. The government has dropped the ball on the response, the emergency response. But the locals have been able to take care of each other. You know, that's the most amazing thing I'm pulling out of this whole situation. The locals take care of each other. So we're going to go to a beach, which is just a little bit north of Lahaina, that they set up a mutual aid camp, and we're going to go check it out and talk to some of the people there and see what they're doing. Kanakauai Beach Park, and it's where they've set up a little, I should say little, it's awesome, it's very impressive, a big mutual aid system here in the park. They actually have a kitchen where a lot of the local chefs and restaurants and supermarkets have donated food. They have canned goods up to yin yang, whatever you need. Baby equipment, baby supplies, first aid supplies. They have first aid tents. They got free Wi-Fi set up over here too as well. It's just truly amazing what's going on. You can see like this is their household item over here. You got soap, wow, shampoo, gels, hair, toothpaste, deodorant. Over here, everything's nice and bagged, help you out. More soap, shampoo, razors, the whole 9 yards. Some care relief, a lot of women's products over here. Got everything set up, man. It's awesome. Formulas, diapers, bottles, baby food, drinks, the whole 9 yards. It's amazing. This is real mutual aid. This is real shit right here.
When I was in the Marines, Iraq, Afghanistan, I did logistics.
Yeah.
Between the entire country.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to do it here.
Yeah.
And so I started, you know, just with basic supplies, going to all the different hubs, finding out what they needed. You know, a refrigerator truck right there.
Yeah.
Met this unbelievable team of people that just started doing stuff.
You're a Lahaina resident?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so would you be willing to tell me your story?
Yeah, so, my goodness, I'm gonna just try to stick to, we live in Lahaina, and about 2:30 in the afternoon, we smelled smoke, and within an hour, got a call from my son, and who lives at Okakea, not far from where we live, and says, "Mom, you need to evacuate. The fire is coming." And we have adult children, and they live outside of, two live outside of Lahaina. One lives in Lahaina. He's the one who called. And so my husband went out and started watering the property, and all of a sudden we were completely enveloped in black smoke.
Yeah.
And then it would appear bright blue, and then it would appear black. So we weren't sure if we were being engulfed in the fire or it was blowing. So the wind was unprecedented. I've never seen or experienced. I've grown up in Lahaina. I've lived here for 43 years. I've never seen anything like it before. It was as though like somebody, it was a wind that came like a blowtorch.
Yeah.
And blew quickly.
Okay.
And stopped. And blew and stopped. And so it took a while for us to get out of the house. We were kind of not, you just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you do, but you don't. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
And we grabbed our whatever we grabbed, and we had no power that day, so we grabbed lanterns and our documents and backpack clothes, ran out of the house, and the heat of the fire was on our back. And we didn't look back because we didn't see how close the fire was. And so we got in one car. We chose not to take two cars because we got separated 5 years ago, and we did not want to be separated again. And so we were in the car, we were safe, we knew our kids were, our son was, and his wife, and our grandson was okay. And we just started driving out of the complex, and we sat there for 25 minutes. We couldn't get out. And so from there, we ended up just praying and having this peace and being enveloped by the dark smoke, and then blue again. And we inched our way out, and our next plan was, if that was going to happen, if we were going to become overwhelmed with the fires, to get out, run to the ocean and swim. That was it. That was the other plan.
And I'll give you the whole story. Ready?
Got it.
Okay. So before all this happened, there was one bench. You see the bench over there?
Yep.
Every night after work, the 6 or 8 of us who live in this community used to come here and hang out, have some Coors Lights, watch the sunset, and so on. From the day after the fire, that bench evolved into this bench, that food truck, those 20 tents, that 50-foot container, the Tesla solar-powered battery farm, and everything else. So we're on day 28 now. That's what's going on.
What kind of work did you do before the fires?
I own this surf shop that burned down in the fire.
It burned in the fire?
Completely burned down. I walked down there the next day and saw everything. My shop, surf shop, was burned down. That's why I'm here. I don't have work, I don't have a job, so that's why I'm here.
Got it.
And I have received no federal money and FEMA money or anything for my business, and that's fine.
Do you think some of it will eventually come your way, man?
No.
No. You're not counting on it?
Not government money.
Yeah.
Because I didn't own a home. If I owned a home and it was burned down, it'd be $700. Big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, well, wipe my ass with $700. That sucks. It's all good. We're gonna figure it out. I'm not going anywhere. I'll sleep under this tree right here and camp out and do surf lessons right here. So it's all good.
Gotcha, man.
So I'm gonna walk you guys to the camp and just kind of show you. Okay?
Let's do that.
Okay. So we evolved from one bench to these benches to this food truck. To the medical tent, doctors, nurses, masseuses, to the 50-foot storage container.
Yeah.
Check in. It's early in the morning, so nobody's here, but we have between 200 and 300 families a day checking in here, giving us a list. Pretty sure this is one of the displaced gentlemen. Pretty sure this is one of the displaced gentlemen. So people check in here, they give us a list, just like a grocery store.
Yeah.
What do you need? Toilet paper, rice, vegetables, Cheetos. We fill their bag. They go. They come back whenever they want.
Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
200-300 families on day 28.
Somebody told me we put up I put up a tweet, said no questions asked. Locals need help, come here. Has it been like that? Because I understand there's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy and bullshit going on with a lot of other.
We haven't got any help.
None of that, huh?
We've gotten a little help, tiny things. Just private donations to private food donations, ice donations, but not any money donations.
Yeah.
Nobody's giving us any money for this, not even $1. That's why we're trying to raise awareness and raise money for this.
Yeah. And the locals can just come anytime, anything they need, you got them.
Whatever we have.
Yeah.
So.
The only thing we don't have are lack of funds. So the government's got all of the funds, but they won't give us anything. They won't promote us in any way. We're outsourcing all 100%. Like Kahana Canoe Club donated this tent. Maui Rents donated this tent. We had another organization donate their tent. So everything's 100% community donations and organized.
Yeah.
So John's on his social media requesting for whatever it is. People are bringing everything in based upon our needs and through social media and just networking, but within our community 100%, which is like
John and stuff.
Yeah, so every day we've got hot meals coming out at least 3 times a day.
3 times a day.
At least 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 4:30.
It smells amazing, and I'm looking at the menu. Pad Thai. Look at this over here. Catch that menu over there.
Yeah.
Pad Thai, veggie fried rice, barbecue chicken, red curry chicken. How long in your mind do you think you guys are going to be set up here before you can move on?
As long as our community needs us.
Cool.
As long as our community needs us.
This is the Keiki corner. Keiki means kids, right here.
Keiki, So Keiki means kids.
How you doing, my friend?
We've got volunteers that are volunteering their time day in, day out. We've got like a little library over here. I can't remember the name of it. Shoot, it's like a digital science bus.
Yeah.
which has been really awesome. So we get them to drive into the park and the kids go in, and it's all digitally set up in this school bus, but the kids seem to have a blast with that kind of stuff. But hands-on learning, we're doing book learning. We're trying to focus on maybe creating something for the kids so they don't need to pass through all of that trauma that they escaped.
Yeah.
With that being the fire, because a lot of kids are transferring over to Kihei and the other side of the island, and so 5 days a week they need to be reminded of what they ran away from and tried to escape.
These families have always come and poured into our community in times of crisis, and so this was set up by them, and then they were now deemed as a legitimate place where you can get food and resources and things like that.
Yeah.
So
this is pretty amazing to do. I've never seen like anything like this. You know, I've been to countries in Latin America where they have socialist governments and collective governments where they pull together. Still, nothing like this. This is amazing, and this is an example of.
Because this is Ohana, this is Hawaii, and
Yeah.
the very first responders, were the people from Molokai. The people from Molokai came over and gave their generators and their food. True.
What do you want from your local and state government right now?
Right now?
Yes.
First of all, I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah.
They're doing, I believe, all they can. This is absolutely devastating to make any kind of like decision. I would like, for more than anything, is for people who know they have family members that are missing, to be able to come forward and not be afraid, to be identifying them so that we can all move forward with burial, with removal, with getting what existing infrastructure is there, so that can be able to be inhabited again.
Yeah. What would your main message be to the people on the mainland, that how they can help and a smart way for them to help?
You know, I mean, tourism is a huge part of our economy here.
Yeah.
And it's got to be, I mean, I own Keawe Adventures and Fly Fishing Hawaii, right?
Okay.
I mean, I'm not fly fishing right now, right? And I post everything logistically on my fly fishing account.
Yeah.
I do lives. It's called my therapy session.
You need people to come, right?
And be respectful. We're not gonna be out there and be like, hey, you know, don't come to I'm Hawaiian, right? But our economy is super important. Being respectful of all of Lahaina, because everybody hurts. You know, it's some trauma. It's freaking hurts. You know.
As long as our community can you know, survive here. That's as long as we really need to and want to be here. We're not trying to take over any government or anything like that, but I think that the government's afraid at how fast and efficient and good we are at doing this, so that the people are starting to realize we don't need the government. We don't need.
That's the problem.
Right. We don't need these guys. We can do it on our own.
When I go on a lot of trips, they're life changing. There's always something in me changes. And the same thing happened over here in Hawaii, in Maui, in Lahaina. Something changed inside. But it's a little bit different, it's a little bit special, because even though I've been to a lot of collective countries before, and socialist countries where the people pull together to fight off a common enemy or a common situation that they need, a common enemy or a common crisis, or a common goal, what's really important is that these people have, what's really stood out to me is that these people have had just an amazing ability to pull together the locals, whether they're, you know, locals or indigenous or the haoles or whatever you call them. They all put their differences aside, come together as a community, and give their residents, their neighbors, the necessary resources they need to survive. Remember, their story is not over yet. It's only just begun. I think we're going to have to come back to Maui in a couple weeks to be able to tell their story. But more than anything, that's what I learned. Mahalo.
council meets in private. They don't discuss survivors. Concerns among construction groups are all Lahaina hears. They'll wander through your city with this mocking sort of pity next to Oprah and her camera crew who tore the Trail of Tears, where footage flows as freely as the stream of liquid steel and the pools of pure aluminum that trickle down your wheels. And Biden's come to say he knows exactly how it feels, cause he had a kitchen fire once and had to miss a meal. And people still believe that piece of shit deserves your vote. Like he's not why supplies are being smuggled in by boat. Like he's not why our citizens were forced to stay and roast. And he can't unfreeze your funding, folks, cause Azov needs it most. I'll bet my every dollar Biden watched it with a smile. I'll bet he knows the whereabouts of every missing child. He's just the kind of man who lives to trample something tribal, collecting culture's corpses just to throw them on the pile. Like he and all his buddies didn't dream about the day when those who dared defy the donor class are cleared away. When home insurance cripples and you can't afford to stay, and your land falls to the hands of those whose windfall fan the flames. The state will take Lahaina, they'll bastardize its name, and tourism will swarm it all the same. See, the state we left Lahaina shows the ground rules of the game. The planes that in the night ignite the planes. And if questions raised that reckon the potential use of lasers, I suggest you take a closer shave by way of Occam's razor. And if those civilians stood between this country and its gains, there's really nothing further to
It's badass, dude.